Okay, beautiful. We're good to go. Okay. Share the screen. Perfect. So welcome. Today we are going to go over a whole bunch of branding. Like if this is a fast workshop, it's only an hour and a quarter. So this is normally a 2-hour workshop. So I've condensed it down as much as I physically could with it making sense. And I do talk fast. So if I talk too fast for anybody or internet speed slow or whatever, just chuck a message in the chat and I'll try to slow it all down and figure out how to make it all work for everybody. Let's start. So firstly, today's training is thanks to all of these wonderful supporters of your community. So a massive thanks to all of those chambers and other community groups that have participated. And also if you could just add your name into the chat bar so that Kate can just take notes of who's here and tick off her sheet as well, that would be fantastic. If anybody doesn't know where to find your chat, if you just wiggle your mouse, you'll find it right in the middle. It just says chat, just click on the button and it'll bring the side panel up onto the side for you. Why listen to me? I have been doing marketing for over 20 years. It ages me. And I used to work for Fortune 100 company Bosch and then another ASX listed company as well. So I've worked in big corporate marketing departments and I've had a lot of exposure to branding, rebranding, market assimilations and things like that. But what we do for a big company is exactly the same as what needs to happen for a small company. So the purpose of these workshops is to give you the same toolkit that they're using. And what we're going to run through today is called the 12 Young Archetypes, brand archetypes. And that's really going to help you get an understanding of how to create a brand, a nice consistent brand that you can actually add value into your business. So I'm what's classified as an AMI CPM. So AMI is the Australian Marketing Institute and CPM is a certified practicing marketer. So if you're ever going to engage with somebody and pay them money to do your marketing, just always ask, are they a member of the AMI and are they a CPM accredited person? So it's kind of think of it like an accountant. They have a CA and a CPA, and we've got the CPMs. Cool. So what makes a strong brand? Ultimately, it's a ridiculous amount of information that goes into branding, but if we can break it down into bite-sized chunks, it's perception, it's consistency, and it's staff. So if you're thinking about perception, it's the immediate first impact that somebody has to you and your business. It could be the happy, friendly person that they meet, or it could be the person that's having the worst day of their life, and then that becomes the perception of your business based on that interaction. So you've got to try to, looking at perception, it's looking at ways that you can make sure that the first impression of every customer that comes past you is going to be consistent and it's going to be good value. So I want everybody to, this is going to be a little bit random, cameras on for everybody. And I want everybody to stand up so I can see that you're doing this. Right, I want everybody to stand up. I'll do it too. And I want you all to hop on one leg without falling over. Right, and then I want you to yell out, because your mute's on, you can yell as loud as you want to. I love marketing. Right, and then sit down. So here's the thing. If I was to ask each of you how that felt and what you thought, so Celeste, do you want to tell us how that made you feel? Funny, sad, annoyed?
Like a dill.
Like a dill, okay. So Pete and Deb, how'd that make you feel?
Pretty much like a dill too.
So here's the thing. I did this recently and there was one guy that was like, that was insulting. I never want to do that again, because that went into his core center of him not wanting to be seen or heard. Some people love doing silly things, so they would love that kind of experience. What we need to understand when we're thinking about anything marketing is how do we create an emotional connection that these people will value? Because every one of us in this room, or in this chat today, has had different life experiences. that is going to make us react differently to the same scenario. So I could do the best campaign and Facebook ad or whatever, and it's impactful and it's beautiful, but if I'm doing it in a market that's been emotionally impacted by another event or another scenario or something that I haven't considered, potentially it's not going to have the cut through that I'm looking for. So all branding does is it tries to help you create that emotional connection of understanding who you're talking to as your customer, and then creating the tools that you can create a nice, consistent brand sitting in the background. So hopefully that makes sense. So perception is what we just did then. So there's a process called a touch point analysis. So I want everybody to write that down. And what it is it's a way that you write down, so you say every interaction that somebody has with you in your business. So if they email me, if they call, if they go to the website, what are the touch points? So are they speaking to a human being? Are they calling you personally? Are they emailing you? What's your response back to them? Is it all unique, or do you have it all automated? The more you can automate those responses, i.e. using templates and call scripts and things like that, the more that as you scale and get bigger, or you've got a team already, the more you can keep it nice and consistent. So the more consistent, the more reputable a company you become, because people know that they can trust on your experience because it's always going to be trackable. So for instance, consistency, a simple style guide where you track your colors and your fonts, really important. I kind of need screens on. Can I see screens on, guys? Because I kind of get you to put your hand up a little bit throughout the kind of the day, if that's okay. Obviously the people that are moving and whatever. So I just wanted to get an idea. Does anybody have what we call a style guide or a brand book, which is basically just an overview of your colors and your fonts? Cool. Anybody else? No, cool. So basically, if the one thing that you take out of this today is that you feel confident to go and figure out how to create your own little brand style guide. All it needs to be is one page, so that you get your and there's actually in an email that I'll send you all this afternoon or maybe tomorrow. I'm going to throw in some links that we don't have time to go through today, but what they are is you can load up your website or you can load up your logo and it'll tell you the colors and the fonts that are being used in it if you didn't get that from your graphic designer when they created it. Then that'll allow you to go and just put that information onto a Word document, so that anytime you want to engage with a marketer, you can give them that sheet and then they understand what your brand elements, colors, and all those kind of consistent elements are. So it's a great way just to kind of keep that consistency there, and it's really easy. But your consistency, you're looking at, your Word documents, your Excel documents, anything that you use, your email signature, anything that you use in your business, these are all touch points within your business. So you see real estate agents, they put their face on things a lot. The reason they do that is because they need people to trust them immediately. So know, like, trust. That comes through somebody seeing your face. So whether you've spoken to me before or you've seen my face on a whole bunch of emails, it allows you to go through that emotional process of know, like, trust a lot faster. So if there's simple ways that you can do that in your business, how can you get these people to know, like, and trust you faster? And then staff. I honestly, truly believe that staff are one of the most important elements of creating and sustaining a strong brand. Because if you have happy staff that are engaged in your business, that buy into your brand, they're going to be the best promoters of it. So it's really important that you see them as a linchpin to brand strategy rather than a cost center. So how do you engage with your staff? How do you make them feel part of your culture? And then how does that culture then add to your brand value as well? So let's go and get a little bit more in depth with all of this. Oh, that's probably the same. So ultimately, you can create your strategy around consistency, perception, and staff. But if you are not emotionally getting them to emotionally engage and connect with you, it doesn't even matter. So we're going to talk of feelings and emotions today. And we're going to, when we go through the archetypes, I want you to have a feeling about how do you get other people to feel something in your business. It could be trust, it could be reliability, it could be, think of a whole series of words that is important to you in your business. And for some businesses, it might just be fun. So how do we get people to emotionally engage? So that's what we're going to focus on. So I'm just going to do 3 quick slides on marketing strategy. This is another workshop that I do, but I just think it's really important for you to just potentially write down these 3 areas just so that you can have a think about them before you get to your brand. So have a think about, if from a marketing perspective, so any business can go into any market, but from a marketing perspective, you only have a certain amount of dollars and time available so that you can focus on it. So whenever I'm talking marketing, I talk about, do you want to be a horizontal or a vertical niche, and pick one area. So for instance, if I was, for instance, I've had a lot of manufacturing experience in my past. So if I just wanted to focus on manufacturing and I just contact manufacturing companies to offer my marketing services, it's a much more niche and refined process. And then I always know I can talk to that industry specifically in their language and tone, which might be a little bit more manly or a little bit more, structured, depending on the audience. But if I was to go into holistic healing, my marketing offering is still exactly the same, but the way I need to speak to those people in a healing is going to be completely different to how I speak to them to a manufacturing company. So if you have a think about it that way, how do I get one message to go across both of those those niches? So good way to think about it is, what are the buyer personas of each of these groups that I want to focus on? So buyer personas are a way of kind of saying, what are the similar characteristics of the people that are buying my product? So a lot of businesses go, I've got product X, I'm going to go sell it. And then they just kind of try to do push marketing. So they want, here's my brochure, buy my product, buy my product. But they're not thinking about who are the people that are actually going to be buying it. Are they high technology? Are they low technology? Are they, shopaholics? Do they like, sports? Creating like a little avatar, as otherwise known, and understanding who are the 2 or 3 major groups that are buying from you really help you then figure out how you need to talk to them. Because yes, we're happily sell to anybody that gives us a purchase order, but when you're doing marketing, you can only focus on small groups that are going to be the most likely to purchase from you for your marketing dollar. So before we get into the brand archetypes, it's really important to have a think about, who am I trying to get to come and purchase from me? And then have a think about, well, what are the available marketing channels? So a channel is literally just an option. So social media, website, newspapers, videos. So you've got your digital advertising, which is all your Google Maps, Facebook, Google Ads, Facebook, social media. Your traditionals, so your letterbox, your sponsorships, videos, newspapers, things like that. You've got your in-market. So in-market just means that they're physically looking to purchase your product like yours. So Google search, your search engine optimization. These are all processes inside that in-market. Partnerships, always incredibly undervalued, but if you can find somebody to partner with that has a similar database to you, but obviously a separate product or an aligned product, then you can do partnerships together and use both of your databases and then cross-promote, so that people, because like if you refer somebody, they obviously trust you a lot more than if you just do a cold call. So you can help other people grow as they help you grow as well. And lastly is internal sales. And this is why I was saying that the sales process is so important as in branding, because a lot of these areas here, nurture process, awards, client referrals, all goes into that internal sales. So the more that, if you create a beat of a drum and then you can then teach that to your staff, that beat is always going to be beautiful and consistent. But if we don't give them any guidance, then they're just going to go and do the best that they can, trying to help you promote your business. So that's where this branding comes in. It's basically giving them a playbook that they can work towards as well. All right. So inside marketing, there's a whole bunch of storylines. You hear the adage always that marketing is a process of storytelling, and it's in every great story that people get to engage and want to be part of your business. So there's the story that the brand tells. So then there's the story that the consumers tell themselves. So that's where, your Google reviews and things that come in, because there's this version here is what how when you go and get a haircut and you say to the hairdresser, oh, it looks great, it looks amazing, and then you go home and then you check it all out. That's the story that you're telling yourself, where the truth comes in. But then there's also the story that the consumer tells others. Because how many times have you heard somebody say to somebody, oh no, that was amazing, I loved everything about it, but then you heard them at a dinner party saying that it was terrible and that they shouldn't have done it that way. So it's creating processes that you can keep that message consistent. There's a story that the media shares, the culture shares, employee shares, and the investors, as well as competitors. So some of those obviously don't apply for most of you guys, but it's just important for you to understand that there's a whole bunch of different ways that people can start talking about you and your company. But quite frankly, as long as they're talking about you, I see that as a good thing. So especially when some people say to me all the time, you know, what happens with, how do we get around competitors talking about us? I'm like, give them a microphone. Because if they're talking to their suppliers or their other competitors about you, it means that you're doing something that's either disruptive or it's impacting them financially, because they don't talk about you until you're impacting them. So I see that as a compliment, and then how do you then leverage off that? So brand strategies. This doesn't really, I'm kind of going to flick over this really quickly, but I just wanted to show you there are types of brand strategies that different companies apply. So the house of the brand, house of brands. So think of Unilever, they have potentially 10 different types of laundry detergent, but they're all owned by the same company. They're all just branded and marketed differently based on each of those different buyer personas that you saw. So imagine at Unilever, they've probably got 7 different buyer personas. So they've gone and created a product line that specifically meets each of those buyer personas. And the color palettes and all of those things work around that group and those people. Endorsed brands, ones like Kellogg's. So every Kellogg's cereal is Kellogg's Special K, Kellogg's whatever. So their name is across the board everywhere. And then Apple has done it slightly different in that it couldn't trademark the word Apple. So it trademarks the iPhone, whatever. So it's sub-branded. So Apple has to be with it, but they've done it for different legal reasons as well. So Microsoft do the same thing. But then you've got your branded house. So for the likes of Virgin and FedEx, everything, like I think FedEx has about 20 different businesses, all but one has got FedEx in front of it. The FedEx Rail, FedEx Road, FedEx Air, and then one expressway, whatever it's called. So they're using their brand at the front of it to add value to any of the acquisitions and divisions that they've got in the business, rather than the alternate being Unilever, where they don't want to be seen at all, and it's all the value is in their individual products, and they don't even want you to know they exist. So for most of all of you, it'd be branded house, which would be the logical one. So why is branding important? Has anybody ever read the Purple Cows, the Seth Godin? So Purple Cows is basically, it's a really small book, like it's like maybe 30 pages and it's teeny. It's great read for everybody. But he throws out this idea about if you're driving on the side of the road or driving and you see a purple cow, you're going to pull over, you're going to stop, you're going to take some photos, and you're probably going to share it on Instagram, right? So how do you in your business create a purple cow? And that's with branding or product branding. So, you know, back in the day, everybody was a pink flamingo, then somebody became yellow to be that purple cow. But because we live in a Me Too society where a lot of businesses just copy what other people are doing, we end up in the situation where everybody then is a yellow flamingo. So then how do they stand out again? Well, then that one goes and stands on a chair, right? And then everybody goes and stands on a chair. And then so you're constantly in this process of just copycatting and then going, this is the new reality, this is the new reality. So what happens then if you actually put effort into understanding your brand archetypes of who you want to be when you grow up, and then how does that then turn into tone and language in your communication? Because then what happens is when your competitor changes, you stay on focus in your marketing plan because you already know who you want to be. You're just one step closer every day to getting there. So hopefully that will make sense. So we've all heard of Sigmund Freud for good and bad reasons, but there was another guy around at the same time when psychology and understanding of the brain process and all of that cool stuff was being created. So his name's Carl Jung, and he is the creator of the brand and I guess the purchasing side of psychology. and he created 12 brand archetypes. So that's what we're going to go through today. Beautiful. So I want everybody to get a pen and paper, and what we're going to do is we're going to go through these 12, and I want you to write down any that make you think, oh yeah, that could be me, or that's who I want to be. On average, most businesses might have like a 70% one and then 30 the other. So we're looking for a 70-30 split. If you see one and it's just perfect, then that's amazing because that makes it a lot easier. Quite often, a lot of the time, a business might have a 70% that is their core business, but it might be a bit serious and they want to loosen it up. So they might match it with like a jester or an everyman or something like that. They can put a little bit of fun and personality into your branding. So as we go through these, just keep notes. And the goal at the end of it is to have one, if not two, that you feel really confident about. Then I'll show you what we do after that. So the outlaw. The outlaw is one of my favorites. He's disruptive, he's rebellious. Anybody that wants to disrupt and be seen in a space is going to be an outlaw. They're all about revolution. They're about new and creative things. Rules were meant to be broken. They're not against establishment by any means. They're not, bad people. It's literally, they have a drive to go and change the world, and they want to do it for the right reason. So don't lock me in. Don't hold me back. I'm going to go and do X because it's the right thing to do, or because it needs to be done. So their desire is for revolution, partly so they can make the world a better place. Not really too into rules and structures and things like that. So I love the Harley Davidson example. Like, it's the perfect outlaw, not because of the style of it, but because they created a boy club for middle-aged men to go and buy expensive bikes, and it's just okay. So it's brilliant. So not only they went from a 1%er where that's who was buying their bikes, to creating a middle-aged men group that people want to go riding together, and created clubs and community and culture and all that kind of stuff together. So the brand then transcended what they were selling. The brand became lifestyle. So Harley Davidson isn't selling a bike. Harley Davidson is selling lifestyle. It's selling freedom. And that's what my husband tells me every time he wants a new Harley. So not too much difference here, but, so the driving factors would be, for liberation, for change, righteousness. But the fear of an outlaw brand is conformity and complacency. So if you've got conformity and complacency in your brand, you're not ever going to be an outlaw brand, because you're never really going to align with your vision and the brand structure. That's outlaw. So then you've got the magician. So the magician is very, you look at Disney and Coca-Cola, perfect examples. The magician is all about, I believe I can make it happen. I believe I can do these things. I need you to believe with me. And with all of this belief, we can go and find a mystical future, where it's also the power to go and create better versions of things. So tomorrow is brighter than today, and we can make dreams to come true. Perfect for Disney because it just fits into that mentality. But then you look at Coca-Cola, every single Coca-Cola ad for over 60 years, I think it is now, its brand tone has been happiness. So Coca-Cola in all of their work has one word. If their campaign does not meet the happiness, then they're not interested in it at all. So, people rolling down hills, having fun. Again, they've created a lifestyle around drinking the Coke. So you can go and drink anything, but you're going to feel as inspired and having a free life and, and all that kind of stuff as you are if you're going to be doing it with Coke. So see how they're trying to give you this emotional side to pull you through into their brand. So for the magician, it's all about knowledge, transformation, and a belief that they can go and do something that everybody needs to get on board with them as well. So again, I come back to the fears. If any of these fears are within your business, then this probably is not going to be an appropriate alignment for you. Dreams come true. Just so the appropriate industries, you find it a lot in entertainment, beauty, relaxation, well-being, and health. So you kind of see where that all sits. The hero is one of my favorites. I always love it when I find a hero brand because it's kind of fun. So a hero is all about mastery. they'll do it their way, but they're incredibly honest, they're candid, they're brave. You want to be friends with the hero. You want to be associated with the hero brands. So Nike's done an amazing job with it in the Just Do It. It's literally giving you the excuse, and it's trying to motivate you with just their tag to be part of the community, to get up off the couch. Just do it. It doesn't matter what campaign they've done over those years. It's all about giving you the confidence to get up and start running or walking up that hill that no other shoe company can do. Like, you think of Reebok. Reebok disappeared until they had a major sponsorship for 20 years because they just didn't do anything that was an emotional connection. Whereas Nike's gone from next to next to next because they've really tapped into that. So it's proving the world is better through courage and determination. And they need to meet the challenges head on. So FedEx is, I like the example of FedEx here with Nike, because you would never assume that they've got the same brand archetype. So you can see what a company's internal structure and their culture has on top of it. So FedEx have gone the hero more from the functionality of when you need it today, when you need it trustworthy, when you need it to be there. They've taken it away from being a price point and a commodity, which a lot of couriers and transportation is, and they've made it so that you have to go with FedEx if it's an important package, if your business depends on it, and all that kind of mentality. So they've changed the way that sits. So mastery, courage, depth, development, and it's ultimately about proving people wrong and creating better futures for everybody else. So a lot of sportswear companies, outdoor companies, and for lack of better understanding, a lot of emergency trades end up being the hero, because then it's like super trading to the rescue, and as bad marketing as that is, it gets used a lot. The lover is a hard one. It's traditionally used in the beauty industry or for females, because it's really hard to get women to want to so it's very much used inside of the premium products. So you like your Alfa Romeo and Chanel, and then also your beauty stuff. So I only have eyes for you. Like, I love you. I want to be like, it's creating that. It's almost creating a brand around every woman's version of their ideal man. So it becomes hard to do, but if that's your market. So I think Alfa Romeo has done a really great job of that, because in all their marketing, they've got some incredibly luxurious looking woman driving a car that looks incredibly free. So they've tried to put that feeling of freedom inside of their lover brand. So as I said, fragrance, cosmetics, indulgent food, and travel. Nice and easy. So the Jester is used a lot in fast-moving consumer goods, which is called FMCG. So like anything, chips, beer, M&Ms, like confectionery, all that kind of stuff you get at the supermarket. They're just working on volume. So their whole goal is, how do I differentiate my Heineken to my Ted, to my Carlton Draft, or whatever? I don't drink beer. How do I then, go and get you to pick which one? So it's taste. I can't do much from a branding perspective around that, unless I want to make it a very masculine style or a feminine style type of thing. What I can do is make you laugh. I can make you have fun. I can make you want to have a Heineken because you loved the campaign so much that you giggle and that you want to pretend that you're that person taking that shot, that drink. So M&M's has done it really well for many, many years, where they've, the M&M's are cute, they're funny. There's literally no realistic content in it, and they've just tried to entertain you. Old Spice. I was going to say hands up again, but who's seen the Old Spice ad with the man on a horse? Oh, it's hilarious. Good work, Kate. That ad, so Old Spice had lost significant market share to Lynx because it was known as old. The branding was old. They didn't change what's it called? The smell. They didn't change the types of Old Spice that they had. All they did was go and create an incredibly engaging new campaign with a guy on a horse that made people laugh, and it made every child everywhere that had ever seen it repeat it back because it was so funny. their sales went through the roof because people engaged through it. The wives went and bought the Old Spice because they wanted to be dating the man on the horse. So it's finding out who's buying the product for you, because the links were targeting the men or the women, like that could smell better. Whereas, you know, figuring out how to emotionally pull those people back in is really super important. So the Jester is always about fun-loving, being playful and optimistic. They just want to have fun. So if you want to have a serious brand, this is not for you. But if you have a serious topic, but you want to have a bit of fun with it and have a little bit of personality and a little bit of a joke every now and then, this is a great one to bring in for a little bit of fun tone.
Chris Rawler, it's very obvious. That lane.
So as I said, confectionery, professional services, child services, things like that. It's a good one to keep them all engaged. So it promotes a good time and a good laugh. If anybody hasn't seen the Dollar Shave ad, just go to YouTube. So look up that one and look up the Old Spice one.
You're trying to please everyone else in your family suffers.
There we go. I just muted them. So the everyman. So if I can beg you all to not pick the everyman, you would make my day. So the everyman is like, it works well if you've got like, so IKEA, Target and Lynx, right? They're all big, well not Lynx, but Target and IKEA are big department stores, right? So they're trying to be everything to everybody. It's important that they don't step out and kind of stand out for a particular niche or type, because they want to be everybody's best friend. So as a small business, being an everyman is really, really hard to break through and get people to know, like, and trust you. If you're a big company, then it doesn't really matter because you've got a lot of marketing dollars and you can go and throw it out for years and years and years on end. But I often say with the everyman, the biggest issue that Target's had going up against Kmart is Kmart went for, I don't know, a bit of Jester, bit of Rebel, and they've blended it. They've gone for fun, creative, people dancing, singing, you know, become like a, you know, make all the cheap products, and we can just constantly, you know, go and everybody loves Kmart now. Like, tell me who doesn't love Kmart. So Target's problem is that it can't keep up with that because it's never created anything that people really wanted to go, that's me, that's my pace. We go to Target because it's got better quality clothes. So you're kind of picking based on value. So you want people to emotionally connect, not be logical. Because if they're logically picking your company, it's going to be hard to keep them if your service isn't what they expect. So yeah, very community-based. If you're a community-based bank or something, it is a great one because you want everybody to love you. So if your fears are exclusion, standing out in isolation, it's probably not the right one for you. The caregiver is very much service-based, very much love your neighbour, let me help you, warm, caring. These are the guys that go out and help you. These are your RACQs. These are your service-based businesses that, you know, are going to help you in times of need, your charities, all that kind of stuff. I have recently had a service-based business that very much went into the caregiver because they were so focused on each step in their process to make sure that the customer experience was amazing that they went above and beyond and then kind of went into that caregiver realm. So very much selfless personality and always doing things for others. So support, help, service, so very much. So as I said, not-for-profits, hospital, education, things like that. The ruler, the ruler is a really interesting one as well, unless you've got a big budget. So the ruler almost ends up being monopolies and luxury brands that have put a lot of effort into saying, you can't afford my product, so let me know when you can afford it. So a Rolex, that level of exclusivity, you know, Mercedes, Louis Vuitton, Rolex, all those kind of things, because they're not promoting, they're doing branded ads. So you know how if you look at TV commercials, you'll have ones that are trying to sell a product or a service and ones that are trying to sell a brand. Louis Vuitton, Mercedes, Rolex, they're all just doing brand ads. They will never do a product ad. You'll never say to them, do this product. It just won't happen. So they're very much, if you can afford me, you can come and be part of our Cool Kids Club, but otherwise you'll have to wait till next time. So very dominant as well. So these are the rules. You must conform to my rules. There's nothing outside of my rules. So that comes off with a very negative angle if you're doing that in a small business. So just be conscious that if you have a dominant personality in your business that is in a leadership role, that whether you like it or not, that ruler element could be coming through to your customer database. So just be careful around that side of it. Power, prosperity, success. So it's all the rich ones, rich luxury brands. Or Google. Google I've now put into the ruler, because I think when you become a monopoly, whether you like it or not, you're defining the market, you're defining the way people act, and you're defining how it interacts. So you ultimately become a ruler type scenario, even though you're trying not to be. Which is why you'll see Google will keep using the bright colors and the themes and things like that to try to keep it more human touch. The creator, so my brand is Rebel Creator. The creator is all about creating things of enduring value. If you want to create something that is going to last the test of time, something, whether it's a product or service that has value and it's not just like a quick throwaway, the creator is a great one for you. So it's all about, you know, providing inspiration, giving inspiration, you know, being, I would actually put Dyson here more so than the other one. I think it's kind of moved over here now because they believed in doing something so different that they created a new market. And they've gone and then reinvented the whole market. So you can't disrupt a fan until you take the blades off it. Then you've just disrupted it as well. So Apple is great because it went and created a whole new market that we didn't know we needed. Nobody needed an iPad when Apple started. Nobody needed a little Walkman, but we all bought them. And then they beautifully created a cult. Not once until I think about 4 years ago has Apple ever promoted their product on an ad. So you would see them dancing with the product, but you would never see talking product specifics, and you would never see them talk price because they were creating something that you wanted to be part of, and they created an amazing cult to go with that as well. Whereas if you think of Samsung on the other side of that, Samsung's budget for the last decade was 4 times the amount of Apple's to get the same market breakthrough, because they didn't do emotional marketing and they never have. About Samsung about 6 months ago, I saw do a combination ad that I think is probably the closest to an emotional ad that they've ever done. So they've finally tapped into that as well. It's kind of cool. So creation, originality, self-expression, vision, and imagination. If you want to go for a Me Too brand, or a Me Too anything, this probably isn't the right one for you. So arts, design, anything in technology, because that's literally creating something forever, and then marketing as well. Has everybody seen this Think Different ad from Apple? It's the very first ad they did. It's black and white and it's phenomenal. It won that many awards, it's crazy. But if you get a chance, again, just go to YouTube and Google Apple ad. It's 30 seconds of inspiration. They don't talk once about Apple or the products. They talk about the people that they love and inspire them that then helped them to create. So they're positioning themselves in line with Nelson Mandela. They're positioning with Albert Einstein. They're positioning themselves with all these amazing key figures over history. And then they're kind of saying, well, they thought differently and we think differently. It was such a beautiful but simplistic message. The Innocent, I find The Innocent boring. Don't do The Innocent either. The problem with The Innocent is it's traditionally in beauty, healthcare, self-care kind of things. So like Dove and moisturizers, face creams and things like that. The problem with that is anything mass produced is traditionally, see how it's optimistic, honest and humble? Like that's what they're going to put over top of it. But inside the bottle is something that isn't organic, isn't good for you, and is just making money and margin for the shareholder. So the thing with The Innocent is if you want to be innocent, you have to have a brand storyline that is so strong and so consistent that anybody that reads it can see that that is a true alignment, because a lot of these companies are getting a lot of backlash when we're talking about, you know, different preservatives that then lead to cancers that are in their products. So there's a big storyline there. So unless you're 100% organic or 100%, you know that you're doing it for the right reasons, I would stay away from that one. but it's got some nice elements. So happiness, morality, simplicity. I like this Dove campaign. If we saw it, it was probably around about 10 years ago. Dove did traditional marketing. The one campaign that made them the most money and got them spoken about most was the one where they went and took some Rebel and put it into their Innocent campaign. So their most successful one was the one where they went and did something daring and brought it into their brand tone. Sage is all about wisdom. So if you're professional services, so lawyers, doctors, you know, in this instance, you know, universities, Google, things like that, places where you go to get expert knowledge, accountants, all that kind of stuff, great for Sage. So it's all about wisdom, knowledge, truth, guidance. And if that's your role, then you'll automatically become a Sage. Yeah, so we've done all that. The Explorer is all about finding that inner freedom. So if you've got a product where people want to, like you guys that do the camping stuff, it's like, you know, how do you get these people to be excited about, you know, don't fence me in, I want my freedom, but get that feeling out of your brand so they go, that's me, that's what I need to do and that's how I need to do it. So, you know, the brand tone for Explorer is very much exciting but fearless, daring, they're willing to take the chance. Like I love the Jeep ads that were really fun. They're always off-road, they're always doing crazy things. And a lot of adventure brands, things do climbing hills and all that kind of crazy stuff. But as you can see, but it's this constant need for the next thing, the excitement level, but also just that feeling of freedom and the feeling of living your life. So extreme sports, outdoor sports, automotive and adventure travel usually sit within that. I would love to see it done one day with somebody that isn't in those categories, but understands that how do they create freedom within their product line, because that would be powerful. Okay, so that's the 12. And so when we talk about how does the selection of that impact the tone that we talk about. So when I'm talking tone, I'm literally talking about, you know, am I happy, sad, fun, you know, all that kind of stuff. So if I'm an outlaw, I'm going to be bold and inspiring. If I'm a hero, I'm going to inspire but then lead. If I'm a jester, I'm just talking about enjoyment, nothing else, trying to entertain you. The ruler is very authoritarian. You speak, we follow, do what I say. And then, you know, the innocent would be kind and compassionate and sincere in the way that they speak. So can you see if we had the exact same product and wrote them into different ways, how they would all come out completely differently? This is where you all nod. So does anybody want to quickly just jump in and did any of them really resonate with anybody at all?
I'll jump in.
Thanks, Heather.
At first I thought the magician, and then when the hero came on, I thought that's more us for kitchen building. Tell me if it's wrong. It's an honest, you know, we like to try and prove our worth in way we build cupboards. You know, great kitchens and pride in our work. So that's, yeah. Yeah,
perfect. And that's a perfect alignment. So there's always the hope that one of them just stands out and you go, okay, that's me. So next time you write with the hero, you know, you always kind of make sure that you're talking about leading, inspiring them to their next decision rather than the outcome they get.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Nobody? All right.
There's a few on the chat.
Ah, good.
Yep.
I was just
Sorry.
That's okay. Thank you for letting me know.
That's okay.
Now, so on my version of the chat, I can't see any archetypes. Am I missing something?
I think, Teddy, can you be more than one at any time?
Ah, yes, perfect.
Yep. And yeah, you got it.
I would say try not to be more than two. So you want that 70-30. So you still always want to have the dominant one, but then you can have one. So as I was saying, like if you have the creator, because you want to create something that's amazing and enduring value, but you want people to be inspired, I would mix it with magician. But if I wanted them to feel confidence that it's going to be the right decision, I would go with the hero. If I wanted them to have fun at the same time, I would then go with the jester. So anything outside of the two becomes too many. So there's too many mixed elements in there to kind of create a nice, beautiful, consistent tone, because you're letting too many influencing factors hit you all at once. So it's really important that if you're struggling with 4, then just try to pick one. But never more than 2, because all you will do is end up with a confused brand and confused brand messaging. So the whole purpose of this is to try to help you refine it down to one tone that you can then push through for the rest of your business. So the beautiful part of what we're doing here today as well is this ASBAS grant allows everybody to have 2 hours of one-on-one mentoring. The government subsidises that heavily for you. So if that's something that you get stuck with, we can take these questions offline at another time, and we can kind of help you develop that brand strategy as well. So keep that in the back of your mind. But yeah, just try to get it down to 2. And if you can't, then just pull them out of a hat and just stick with them. Because the more you start thinking about it, the more you're going to go, okay, well, this one actually is closer to what I want to be. So think about who you want to be when you grow up in those positions when you've got too many.
Council's also offering the 5-hour one-on-one consultant after these webinars. So, yeah, that's the package that we've put together.
Perfect. Wonderful. Yep. Well, there you go. That's even better for you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Council. Oh, I did have it on the next slide. So to answer that question, if you try to please everyone, you'll end up pleasing no one. So that's why it's important to pick 1, if not 2. So if you've got the 4, you're going to end up with a confused brand. And if you've got the 1, you're going to have a really refined and defined view of what you want to be. 70-30. What time is it? We might skip these. Oops. Except I don't know how to. Jeepers creepers. I just had some examples. We're running out of time, so I'm just going to quickly zoom through. So when it comes to consistency, this is what I was talking to you about. What we've just done here today is creating the brand architecture. So what I might do is when I send you the links to the other things that you can get your colors and your fonts and everything out of, what I'll do is I've got this in a Word document. So I'll send this to all of you as well. And just have a go at putting in your company information. And if you find that you've got gaps, then that's areas that you can work with somebody about kind of refining your answers. Because what we want to look at, well, what is your positioning statement? What is your tone? You know, so what are your brand architecture that we've just gone through? So this one is creator and rebel. Then how does that mean, what does that mean for your tone? So, you know, for this business, their tone is that they want to be rebellious in all of their creators. So they're web developers. So they want to be a little bit rebellious because they can do bigger and better things. Behavior. So then we talk about, you know, what is the behavior that is going to get us in front of our clients? What is the one thing that's going to get them to convert? What's your primary and secondary demographic? And then these are just all rationales. So what I'll do is I'll just attach that, and then you can have a crack at it and see how you go. Because what I try to do is, you have this and you have it on your wall, or you have it as a sheet that you can send with your brand style guide, your coloring. Doesn't matter who you engage with or who's doing any work for you, you know that they're on the right tone. So if you, for instance, was to start doing a search engine optimization thing, which is how you get ranked on Google, and you might do a lot of blogging. If you're going to outsource that to somebody to write the blogs, a document like this is really important, because then they can understand what your tone is. So you're always going to get it written the right way from the beginning, because otherwise they don't have a clue about your brand architecture. They don't really have a clue about what you're doing. They're just going to try to get those keywords into your blog so that it works in Google. But your job is to balance what Google wants with what your business needs to say. Doesn't matter. So if you were just to create a Word document, or if anybody's using Canva, which is a free design platform, Canva's great. You can go in and you can see these hex codes. So each of these numbers here creates your color. So if you've got like a blue and a, so let's just look at this one. So we've got orange and red. That CMYK is what happens when you get it printed. The RGB is the color that you throw into a Word document or Excel or PowerPoint, things like that. And your hex is anything that you use digitally. So if you're creating something on Canva, if you're doing something in your website, these are the colors that you need to tell your computer to process them. So if you have the ability to know what these colors are, then anything you go and create, you're going to create it consistently. So the goal is that if this is your marketing, everything looks the same. So it's very clear by looking at that one screenshot of everybody's business, of this business, that every one of their elements looks the same. So there's no confusion around that. So if you were to take a whole bunch of the things that you've been doing and put them like as a screenshot like this, what you want to see is that they all look consistent. Sometimes the worst branding in the world is more important than the best branding in the world if you've got consistency. So from a small business perspective, get your consistency right, do all the free things that you can do to get your consistency right, and that will get you a lot further in the market, because ultimately your eye, I don't know if you know, but your eye recognizes color before it recognizes words, symbols, and logos. So what often happens is your eye will see something and it'll either go, oh, I know them, or I don't know them. But if there's too much information on a page, your eyes tell your brain that it's not interested in pursuing. So how many times have you picked up, you're on your iPad, you're looking at something and it's just too much clutter, like the design is just too full on. Your eye automatically, before your brain even gets to digest what is in front of it, can go, nah, we're not interested. So that's why when you're on Facebook and you're scrolling and you get the impressions that make you stop and look have done something in their color palette or their design that's made you slow down. So there's an art to that. And as you can see, like in this example on the website one that I've got here, there's lots of clear white space. So you want the more white space, and it can be a color, but it's the same theory. You need lots of space around things that allows your eye to go, oh, let me close in on whatever it is I'm trying to look at. So that's why a logo should always have what we call a buffer around it, and always keep it clear so that the eye can focus on what it's actually looking at. So yeah, I'll send you all the tools so that you can load up your logo and you can load in your website, and it'll tell you what these fonts are, and it'll tell you what the color palettes are as well. So then you'll have a cheat sheet that you can use moving forward. So, and then the other thing is, if you ever engage with a marketer that's going to create things for you new, always ask for the PSD or AI files. You might want to write that down, which are the original artwork files. So that's what they created it in, but often they just give you the Word or, not the Word, the JPEG or PNG files, which you can't really do much with. So you want to do that as well. So consistency. I just had a quick look at what are the things that are in your business now that you can go to tomorrow and look at to see whether you've got a consistent brand happening right now at the moment. So look at all your templates, any vehicles, uniforms, promo. If you're doing any ads anywhere, have a look at what the ads look like. But the most unused element is your email signature. Think about how many people you speak to in a day, potentially, and think about how you're interacting with each of them. So if you're sending out flyers, brochures, just a simple email, sending out your invoices and then looking at your customer experience process as well. And I wouldn't be surprised if you find a lot of opportunity just to create simple little things that you can make it super consistent, which is going to help you moving forward as well. So I've kind of left it there so that we had time if anybody wanted to ask any questions or anything specific, that we can go. So if anybody has any questions.
At the very start, you talked about VANS, V-A-N-S. Can you tell me what that is?
I don't know, what was I talking about?
It was in your first, I think, first or second slide.
Okay.
Business VANS or something.
Sorry, I'm just
In the staff one, you said it was the linchpin of your branding strategies. They drive your branded van. Did you literally mean like a car?
No, it's also staff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. Okay.
Sorry.
So when I talk about hang on, let me get right up to the top here. This one. So you're talking about staff?
Yeah.
Oh, you drive your branded vans. So the worst, like I remember years ago, we used to have hundreds of work trucks and utes and things on the road with the company I used to work for. And the debate around whether to have the vans branded or unbranded was a serious topic of conversation, because we couldn't justify the quality of the attitude of the staff that were driving them. So if you've got all your cars branded up right and they're driving around town representing you, and you've got two guys at speed, you know, cut people off, you know, do all the things that we've all seen people do in branded cars, is that going to impact your brand? So by making staff, the culture within your business are so positive that they want to follow the rules. So that's when you know you've made it, is when your staff are actually happy to follow all the rules that you put in place, systems, procedures, policies, all that kind of stuff. Because then they're going to follow the rules, which means that you can then have them in branded vehicles, because you've got to think of that as a mobile billboard. So if that mobile billboard is cutting people off, that's probably not the billboard message you want. So it's about figuring out. So we ended up having the guys that were going to the mine sites up in Mackay, they put them, we had like magnet ones that they would put on their door when they got to a mine site, and other times they'd take it off because we didn't want anybody knowing who they were. But in other regions, they were more indoctrinated into the process and everything, and we were able to have branded cars because they were going to follow the rules. So it's just something to be conscious of, because it's better not to brand your vans if your staff aren't going to follow the rules. Anybody else? So Pete and Deb, what did you pick? What was your archetype?
We both went for Explorer, and Pete was an outlaw as well.
See, that adds a bit of fun to it. So Explorer is a natural choice for you guys. But
Yeah.
adding in a little bit of Rebel, you can have a little bit of fun with that. You know, they're beautifully aligned as well. So I guess the question is, how do you then take that knowledge, and then if you thought about your marketing material that you've currently got, so your website content, for instance, do you think that you're currently writing in the same way, in the same tone?
Not really. That's where we're struggling.
Yeah. So simple, quick little tweaks around rewriting some content and then testing it. So the easiest way to do that is, if everybody, hands up if you've got Google Analytics on your website. Okay. Anybody who doesn't have Google Analytics, it's a free platform. I would highly encourage you to go to your web developer, or I can even get you instructions if you want it. There's some guys in our group that do one-on-ones for web stuff, so you can potentially do that in this program as well. Just let me know and I can connect you to the right people. They can go and show you how to insert that. So Google My Business and Google Analytics are both free platforms. Google My Business gives you, you get the Google map. That's how you can collect your reviews. That's all free. So if you go and set one of them up, and there's got the services, the products, and you fill that out as best as you can, Google's going to then rank you a little bit better too, because they support the local community stuff with people using the maps because they like it. So A, they're going to give you better SEO rankings because you've got one. But B, it actually allows you to put a whole bunch of appropriate keywords into another place that Google's going to use as a high authority site, which again is going to help drive your people through. So if you can then get people to review you, again, you're going to get higher and higher. So these are all just free things that are there. I got off topic, but Google Analytics is another Google platform, and it's basically a piece of code, like one line, or a few lines piece of code that goes on every page of your website. And what that does is it tracks who goes there, what they did, whether they were male or female, whether they were men 50 plus. You know, it gives you the buyer demographics that you're looking for. And actually, I can show you one. Analytics. And it's really great because what it means is you can go in and you can change the information on your website, and you can then go in a month later and see whether that's had any impact on conversion rates. So at the moment, the two main areas that you look at is I look at bounce rate and I look at how long they've been there. So if I've got a bounce rate of I think anything under 60% is actually pretty good in Google land. Let me find. Well, it's going to give you some half decent information. Come on, Google. Yeah, so you look at bounce rate and you want to look at how long you're on there. So at the moment, let's pretend you had people were coming there for like 30 seconds and then they were bouncing off. So bouncing just means they leave. So if you're doing any promotion, you want to make sure that your bounce rate gets lower and continues to get lower. So the two areas I look at are conversion rate. Well, if you've got an e-commerce shop, it'll show conversion rate. Let me find a normal one. That one. So it'll tell you how many people are coming to your site. It'll tell you if you've got an e-com, it'll tell you how much you've made, and it'll tell you how much they're converting. If you've just got a normal site like most of us, it'll show you how many users you've had, and this is over a 7-day period, and sessions, which is how many times people have gone into your website. Now, the two that I look at all the time, and just get in a habit of coming in once a month, is going in and looking at your bounce rate. So 85% of people that go to this company's website are bouncing, which means that we've got Google ads on, they're coming, they're looking, going, oh, this isn't what I wanted, and then they're bouncing out, or they're saying that that's not the immediate information that I wanted. And your session duration, 21 seconds is pretty bad. You want to try to get it 2-3 minutes. So the longer somebody stays on your website, the more Google will rank you higher. So the whole idea is getting them there, which is your lead generation, and then keeping them there, which makes Google happy. So if you've got a video that you can put at the top of your website that auto starts and makes them stay there for an extra 30 seconds to watch it, well, you've just gone and doubled your session duration, which Google's going to love. But what I was saying about the content is if you go and you look at it where it is now and use that as a baseline, and then go and change your content, and then just see if certain pages get better rankings. So for instance, if you had, I don't know, 3 main products, then rewrite one and then test whether it's doing a lot better after you've done that, and leave the other 2 the same, so that you can use that as a baseline. You can see if it works. If that works, then go and update the content there, because that's when you know that you've got it working. Question. The other thing to think about is there's a process called search engine optimization. So you've got to make sure that there's the keywords that I'm looking for. So just say I'm looking for a blue chair and I type that into Google. If I'm a blue chair supplier, I need to make sure that the word blue chair is written so many times in my website that Google ranks me #1 because I've got more references to that blue chair than anybody else above me. The only problem with that is don't just write my blue chair is a blue chair and it's a great blue chair, so you should buy my blue chair, because that's called keyword stuffing. So you've just got to be conscious that there's algorithms that have been written by Google to read your content and say this is the normal logical flow of human conversation, without you putting blue chair into something 55 billion times. How do I add Google Analytics again? So you just need to, so in your analytics panel, if you go into admin, there's a section that gives us the code. So tracking info. Oh God, I haven't done this in a long time. I get my developers to do this, sorry. Yeah, somewhere inside the panel, there's a bit where we can type analytics code. Oh, tracking code, there, right there. I was in the right spot. So the good thing is, like, Shopify made this super easy. So I can copy this and go take it into Shopify, pop it into a box that says Google Analytics code, and I'm done. And it's just going to track everything. So technology has made it a lot easier for us. In a WordPress website, you still have to go and either have a plugin that it goes into, or you just go and put it at the top of every one of your pages and it'll track it. So the reason that you want to do that, so you can take this and you can send it to whoever did your website, and you can ask them to throw it in if they haven't done it. But as I said, people within this ASBAS grant can help you do that as well if you haven't got that set up. Let me just quickly show you. In the admin panel, this users account. So if you go and set one up yourself, I always say create one Gmail account for your business. So my company name @gmail.com. And then you can use it to log into every single Google platform. So then you've got one set of logins for everything that's related to your business, because then you can also go and add other people into it and give them access to it. So for instance, if I wanted to let somebody have access to it, so just say you're going to use an SEO company or something, you can go and add them, and then they've got access to do it. So you just literally need to be the gatekeeper that lets them into your account, and then they can go and do all the setup for you, and then everything's good. But it's always super, super, super important that you own a login that gets you into your Google Analytics, your Google My Business, because a lot of marketing companies set up their own codes, put them into your website, and then you have no idea what's happened. So it's really important if I can get that message through that you have ownership of that information. Kate, do we want to do anything you wanted to say or questions, or I'm happy for more questions if anybody's got any.
Yeah, if anyone's got any more questions, they can still ask them. But yeah, nothing from me.
It's just Celeste, and I just wanted to say thank you very much to Kate from the council and the council for doing all of this, because as the chamber president from over here, I have been to all 5 and I have loved all of them, and I've got great feedback from all of them. So thanks heaps.
Excellent. Good council program.
Yeah, I'd have to back Celeste's comments there too. I found the whole sessions very, very interesting and rewarding, and I think we can get some great ideas from the whole show. So thanks, Kate, for organising them. Thanks, Shah, for the program tonight.
Pleasure. All righty. Well, if nobody's got any other questions, I guess we can round up. And a massive thank you to the council for facilitating all of this for us. And if anybody, so if you want any help with anything, there's a whole bunch of advisors. If there's something specific you're looking for, feel free to drop me a line and I can connect you with the right person so that then you can book in with the right person. Cool.
Yep.
Well,
Thank you, everyone.
lovely to meet you all. Bye,
Bye.
everybody.